Hello everybody, I am RJ Brim from FroLiberty, and we have
Samantha Davis.
Sammie B. Alright, well, today we're going to talk about women and guns and some common gun myths you hear on the news all the time. Sammie and I both carry every day.
We do.
I carry a Sig Sauer P238 Lady. The reason I picked that is basically I'm a big believer in muscle memory, and that fits my hand perfectly. I think if you train a lot, you need to get to the point where you acquire sight picture, and you don't have to think, oh my God, where's the safety, or is the gun too high up in my hand? You already know. And that's why I picked that one.
Yeah, it becomes almost an extension of your arm.
Exactly. What do you carry?
Well, what I have is a Springfield XD 4-inch barrel, portable barrel. And the reason I actually chose this gun is a 9mm.
Okay.
At the time I was living in Los Angeles, and I chose a 9mm.
You got a gun in LA?
I did, yeah. Believe it or not. I did jump through a couple of hoops, but I mean, I think there should be some hoops involved in getting one of these. But the reason I actually bought this, a 9mm, is because I lived in an apartment complex, and I didn't want anything like too powerful, like 45.
Right.
You know, because it is for personal and home protection.
Right.
You know, so I only had it to defend myself, my family, and my home.
Okay.
So that's why I chose that, because if something did happen and I did shoot, I mean, it can go through walls. You're living in an apartment building, so I chose a 9mm rather than a more high-powered.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about women and guns. There's been a lot of stuff in the news. There was a lady in Tennessee where a guy and some woman started banging on her door like at 2 a.m. You know, she looks out and tells the guy, hey, I have a gun, and he still kicks in the door. She put 2 or 3 rounds in him, he ran off. Okay? To me, a gun for a female is an equalizer. I mean, it's not a guarantee, but I mean, if you look at, you were talking about some of the statistics that you found.
Yeah, I read that women are 30 to 40% more likely to be attacked violently than a man.
Absolutely.
And I mean, which it is true. And we live in a rape culture. I mean, women at night, you don't want to walk around by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it is an equalizer. And I don't know about you, Regina, but I don't want to get raped or killed.
No, I do not. And, you know, I've heard some kind of ridiculous clapback, you know, on Facebook and Instagram and internet that, you know, if you're raped, go ahead and pee. Or if you're raped, lay back and just enjoy it. No, rape is
I'm not going to lay back and enjoy it, fellas.
Rape is a crime of power and victimization. It's
of
what
course.
predators do.
And anyone that's justifying that or like normalizing it they shouldn't be in office. They shouldn't be, you know,
Absolutely.
have
Absolutely.
a position of public power.
The other there's 2 big myths that you hear over and over again with people who are against guns. The number one is, oh yeah, you can just go online and order a gun and it'd be delivered to your house. Okay, folks. In order to get any modern weapon, you must have an FFL license. Therefore, unless you have an FFL license, which costs at last count about 10 grand for a piece of paper, you cannot have it delivered to your house. You must have it delivered to somebody who has that FFL license. So on top of what you pay for a gun, you're going to pay between 10 and 75 bucks to have that gun turned over to you, period, every time. And that involves you filling out paperwork, that involves a background check every single time. So it's not as simple as you go up online, a couple of clicks, put a credit card in, and it comes to your house. That doesn't happen.
Yeah. That's good to clear up. And I really want to ask, what is your stance on assault rifle bans?
There's no such thing as an assault rifle. Okay. It is
a high capacity
mag. You know, I was here after Katrina. I mean, right after Katrina. All right. I would like to say that brought out the very best in humanity. It did not. I know when we walked around our property, myself and my husband at the time had a gun on our hip, okay? There were people during the LA riots that had assault rifles on top of their businesses, trying to keep their family safe and trying to keep their property safe. So, I mean, the idea that, okay, like Oregon wants you to have 5 bullets in a gun, okay? I don't think you're going to shoot at a crowd or shoot at somebody and say, hold on, let me reload or let me get my extra magazine. That's not going to happen. You know, people kind of attack, you know, the Second Amendment, and it didn't mean, you know, AR-15s. It didn't mean that. First of all, AR is not assault rifle. It's Armalite. That's the name of the guy that
yeah,
helped
that
develop
is a
the
common
gun.
misconception.
But, I mean...
And a lot of people think that for it to be an assault rifle, that it's the black stock, you know, with the magazine hanging out, which is not. I mean, you know, my dad had a 223 Mini 14 assault rifle with a wood stock.
Absolutely.
And they are used for hunting.
You know, and the funny thing is the assault rifle, and if you look at stuff that came after the Brady bill and the Clinton issue, there were things in that to me didn't make any sense. If you had a monopod on the front of the gun, that made the gun illegal. If you had a collapsible stock, that made the gun illegal. Okay? Nothing about the lethality or anything, just those bits and pieces, and it's dressing. I mean, because I guarantee you, the 223 is used in far more guns than just the AR-15.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I can show you side by side 2 guns that use the same bullets, and you'll say, oh, okay, that's an assault rifle, but that's not. Okay, they shoot the same ammo.
It's like lipstick on a pig.
Exactly, exactly. And I think a lot of what you see is a cultural thing. I mean, I'm 55, or going to be 55, and when I came down to visit my relatives in the South, everybody had a gun in the back of the pickup truck, gun rack, you know, even if they were in high school. Exactly. So something has changed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You know, and you know what? My problem with, and this is on both sides, because there's, you know, buttholes on both sides, is we need to talk to each other rather than at each other. Okay? Exactly. Every time there's gun crime, you want to do more laws instead of examining how this crime happened. What was, you know, the why of it, okay? Because frankly, between me and you, if I'm a criminal, I'm going to get a gun. I'm not going to worry about a background check. I'm not going to worry about an FFL. I'm going to get a gun. So gun laws affect law-abiding citizens, period. Now, the other thing is if you've looked at every mass shooting in the last 15 years, there's been some sort of psychological element to it. Not only that, there's been a psychotropic drug involved. Now, we can sit here and go back and forth about gun laws and how to keep people safe. But bottom line is, there is a way. I mean, we already have effective laws, all right? But you have to enforce those laws. But you have to enforce those laws equally. The Miami shooting, all right? The guy had 2 gun instances on his record. And because of his ethnicity and his job, they let him go. For that, a bunch of people died. George Zimmerman, okay? He assaulted a police officer. A police officer. Now, girl, I'll tell you what. If I punched a police officer, I wouldn't see no part of a gun. I wouldn't see no part of freedom. However, George Zimmerman's dad is a judge, and his mom was a sitting clerk. And when asked about it, they said, well, you know, he gotten a couple of scrapes, you know, but, so we helped him out. Okay, no. This is somebody who shouldn't have a gun. And that was basically a kid who got touched, flipped around, hit him, and he was getting his butt kicked, and he shot. You know, and a buddy of mine said, that's why I don't carry a gun. Because if I'm getting my ass kicked, I'm not getting my ass kicked. I'm going to shoot you. And that's exactly what happened. Period.
Definitely. One thing I wanted to bring up about assault rifles is that I personally, I love to shoot. You know, I think they're cool. But in a way, I feel like, why do you need an assault rifle? Like, if it's for personal protection or your home protection, a handgun or a shotgun would be more than sufficient to protect your home. And if it is a situation to where you need an assault rifle, I mean, if you're afraid that the government's coming in and they're going to come, you really think that you and your AR-15 are going to take down the U.S. military?
Absolutely not. But I want to point out Ruby Ridge. Remember that? Okay. Ruby Ridge was a guy that, I want to say he was a white supremacist, but he had some kind of French ideas, and he met with those people. Mm-hmm. The ATF pulled him in and said, we want you to give us evidence against somebody. He was like, I'm not telling you nothing. I'm not telling you a thing. Okay? So, he had, I said, a warrant on like a gun charge or something like that. Something that he probably would have been able to pay a fine or whatever.
Yeah.
So they said, okay, you won't cooperate. We're going to come and take you off your mountain. He was there with his wife, his 4-month-old daughter, his son, and his buddy. His son went out, and they were in the woods, and his dog started barking. The agent, who was now kind of outed by the dog, shot the dog. This is a 14-year-old boy. What do you think the 14-year-old boy is going to do? He shot the agent. As the boy is running away, another agent shot his son in the back. The buddy that was with his son ran back to the house, closed the door. Okay? The wife is standing at the door holding their 4-month-old baby, right? And going, what happened? Her head is shot through the door. Okay. No agent has ever been prosecuted for that. Ever. Shot through the door holding your 4-month-old baby. Now let me keep you something right quick. I in no way agree with that ideology. But when law overcomes common sense, okay, then something has to be done. The AR-15, no. Do I believe everybody should have one? No. But if I am legally allowed to own it,
yeah, of course,
I should have it. And I am the responsible gun owner. Now, are there yahoos out there that drain can shoot up in the air? Yeah, I'm not one of them. The majority of my friends aren't one of them. I've been places and parties where people are like, oh.
What do you do for that, the minority of mentally ill people that have access to guns and stuff? Because, I mean, the same reason that grenade launchers and automatic weapons aren't legal. Right. You know, if they get in the wrong hands, we know how that story ends.
Absolutely.
You know?
And you know what? First of all, no law, no ban is 100%. The guns are out there, okay? So we have to put steps in place to make sure that people don't get hurt. If you are on a psychotropic drug, okay? If you have been deemed mentally unstable, okay, you shouldn't have a gun. But you know something? Here in Mississippi, that's on like the little ask form. However, that's not on in every state. And most gun laws cannot breach HIPAA, okay? In other words, the guy that was at, was it MIT or that shooting up there?
Yeah.
He had a long history, okay?
Exactly.
However, his psychologist and his records were not able to be accessed. Mm-hmm. Now, and I have a little bit of a problem with that because that's a catch-22. When I had my oldest daughter, I had a visiting nurse come, brand new parent, 22, 24 years old, to make sure you're breastfeeding and all that other stuff. That visit is on my record as a mental health visit. So should I be denied a gun? You know what I'm saying? I mean, so my problem...
There's definitely holes in it.
Absolutely, and see, that's my problem. That's my problem. Or a guy who says, I have PTSD, but I go to the range with my buddy because it's an outlet. Mm-hmm. Okay? Should he have his gun taken away? You understand what I'm saying? There's the beginning to everybody being safe is a conversation.
Exactly.
If you come at me accusing me, oh, all gun users do, okay, you know what, my hackles are up. I'm not gonna listen to you and I'm gonna push back. I'm a human just like everybody else is. Now, if you're a mom and says, okay, my son died from gun violence, okay, what happened? Okay, was he in a gang? Okay, I'm sorry, let's kind of figure out, you know, a way so gangs aren't an alternative or a choice for a child. Oh, okay, my son found my gun. Okay, my kids, since they were old enough to hold a gun, were taken to the range, period. In my house, the safety was mom and dad, okay? When I was, I guess about 9 or 10, my grandfather took a Coke can. Remember, well, Coke cans were thicker then. He shook it up and he put it on a fence. He said, shoot the Coke can. Shot around it, and when I finally did, it exploded. Scared the hell out of me. He said, that's why you never point anything at a human being. Now, imagine if every child was educated, if every child was given that. Now,
That's an ideal situation, but unfortunately,
absolutely.
that's not the case.
Absolutely, but for you, not you personally, but for people to come and say, oh, you got kids in the house, my kids know how to shoot. Every single one of my kids.
I was actually thinking about that. You know, in Mississippi, of course, in the South, everybody has a gun. I started shooting guns around 12 years old just because everybody has a gun. And if you look statistically about, you know, violent gun crimes, like Chicago and all these bigger cities have a much more higher rate than we do.
It is a lack of education.
It's a lack of education.
And the oppression of legal gun owners. One of my favorite cases that I like to speak about when I speak to people about guns is there was a man in New York, came home tired, you know, I guess he was like either a sanitation worker or something like that. 2:30 in the morning, sits down, gets a sandwich, soft drink, sits in his easy chair. Now I want you to picture all this. And he hears his daughter scream. He goes upstairs and there's a naked man on top of his 13-year-old daughter. He runs into his room, gets like a .38 special or something that his dad gave him, comes back, shoots the guy 3 times. Doesn't kill him, but wounds him. Then calls the cops. The cops come, take the guy to the hospital, and arrest the father. In some jurisdictions, it is your obligation to flee rather than to defend your home. Now, I'm looking in the camera right now. If you are outside of my house and you're stealing my lawnmower, happy for you. If you're stealing something out of my car, I'm gonna be angry, happy for you. However, if you come into the space where my children lay their heads, you will be leaving at room temperature, guarantee you, period. And that's not a boast, that is, you know, a realization that human life exists, and if you decide that whatever I have inside my home is worth your life, you know, it is what it is. Like I said, I don't drink and shoot. I don't, you know, go out and shoot signs or anything like that. And the majority of gun owners do not do that. There is that small percentage, and it goes back to the old axiom, you know, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. The aberration is the one you see in the news. The 2 kids that jumped that gunman that died, I put them on my wall. I didn't mention the gunman's name one time. Those are heroes.
Yeah,
The guy in the Oregon Mall that was a concealed carry holder that pulled on that shooter, and when he saw that guy, he ran away. So there are cases of good people defending their lives or defending the innocent, but that's not what we see in everyday news.
Of course, and that is great, and I believe that that's what a gun owner should be, is that person in that situation that stands up and defends those who can't defend themselves. However, I do feel not everybody's that person, and so there should be harsher vetting for
harsher vetting, yes, but harsher vetting, no.
Say harsher vetting and more training. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you want to be that person, if you are that person in your community that wants to stand up and take that on, do it and go to a class and be, you know, certified and be trained. that
You know, like I
situation.
said, I understand, and that is a good point, and I don't necessarily disagree. But anytime you require something like that, it's government intrusion. It's the government has your name on a piece of paper. That's more, kind of government putting their finger in your pie. And that kind of sticks in my craw a little bit. For an anniversary gift about 11 years ago, we had bought an AR to go out and teach the kids and everything, but we were having problems with it, so we figured the best way to learn would be to build one, okay? So we ordered a lower. A lower is a square piece of plastic about that big, and it has a serial number on it. That had to go to an FFL dealer. That square piece of plastic, because it was serialized. I could throw it at you and cause more harm. And I was talking to a buddy of mine and said, well, yeah, because it takes you about 10 minutes to turn into an AR-15. No, not really. Not even close. But that's the mythology. You can pull up videos almost every day on the internet of some politician talking about incendiary bullets that could cook a deer from the inside. And I said that to my friends, like, dude, I gotta give me some bullets. That's hot. I mean, just ridiculous thing. And when you question the same politicians that, by the way, have armed security, where are they getting their gun information? We saw it in the movie. Okay, that's.
You can theoretically 3D print a gun offline,
Yeah, but
and
you know what?
I mean,
if
it
you
does
fire,
come down to guns don't kill people, people kill people. And until we get to the root of that problem, I feel like it just shouldn't be a free-for-all for some mentally ill person to get their hands on a high-capacity assault weapon.
Well, like I said, but
I'm saying, from my personal perspective, I enjoy them. I enjoy shooting them. I think they're great.
But like I said, if you are a mentally ill person, you're not getting a gun. If I'm a billionaire, I'm getting anything I want.
That's true.
So like I said, until we get to the point where everything is equal, all right, and everything is uniform, we're still going to have this problem.
Exactly.
So I wanted, before we kind of wrap up here, I know we've kind of gone long, is the other big myth is the gun show loophole. That you can walk into a gun show and just pick up a gun and walk out. The dealers in the gun show must follow the same process. They must be an FFL dealer. They must run your background check. The only way you get a gun at the gun show is from buying it a person-to-person sale, and in some states that's gone away. So.
Or you can tune in to the gun show. I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm RG Brim from FroLiberty, and I'm with Sam, and we're probably going to do a second gun show because
let's go to the range.
Absolutely. This is an important topic, and we see it on the news all the time. There's just so much bad information.
Working parts of it.
Absolutely. It's a layered issue, and like I said, as long as we talk to each other instead of at each other, I think we can solve it. Thank you very much.